get serious about building content sites and building a profitable business online? Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. We bring you the latest field-tested tips, tricks, and strategies for building a profitable online asset. We interview industry experts, share customer success stories, and reveal our own experiences working on hundreds of sites to inspire and motivate you to make something happen. Let's do this.
Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today we have Jamie IF, and Jamie's been on a few podcasts before this one, but we dive into a little more on writing the affiliate content. But firstly, we start with putting things into perspective, how much people are really making with these niche sites. We dive into the affiliate content itself, how to write good affiliate content that is going to convert the readers on your site to be able to buy your products. We go through a bunch of different examples using vacuum cleaners. We go into the idea of having a competitive advantage with that. The idea of the ratio of affiliate content versus info content, whether that's really a thing, and how Jamie has tackled that. We go into updating content as well, how he's updating his buyer intent articles. We go into internal linking, off-page things, negotiating commissions with your affiliate managers. We cover a range of different topics within this, and everything said here is crazy, invaluable advice for anyone who's currently running their niche website or affiliate website. So sit back and enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Website Builders, an agency dedicated to helping people just like you build profitable content sites. Niche Website Builders are the hands-off content site marketing agency you always wished existed. It's run by content site marketers for content site marketers, and they help both investors and individuals alike build profitable online properties. They provide a fully outsourced approach to content creation, link building, and done-for-you website builds, the same approach they use on their own six-figure portfolios. For example, their content packages come with a proprietary keyword research process, are written by in-house native English speakers, formatted using templates proven to convert, and uploaded to WordPress with affiliate links added so that all you need to do is hit the publish button. Check them out at nichewebsite.builders/show. That's nichewebsite.builders/show and fill out the form to get coupon codes for 10% more content or a 10% discount on links with your first order sent right to your inbox.
All right, welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. Today we have Jamie, but no last name for Jamie today. I think he wants to say a little anonymous there, but we can use his IF Twitter handle at the end there as Jamie IF. So welcome, Jamie.
Hi James. I hope you're doing well, and it's good to be on the podcast.
No, it's good to have you on. You've done a bit of the podcast rounds before this, but like Google SEO stuff, we can add the extra revenue you're making now so we can rank higher, because those ones you were making around 30,000. This one you can kind of share, I guess, what your monthly revenue is, and we can outrank them in YouTube titles. So do you want to maybe dive in a little bit into your background, kind of what you're doing now and kind of how you got there?
Sure. Well, I'm glad we're doing it this month, because next month might not be above the numbers. So I'm glad we're doing this. If this is the peak, I'm glad that we're doing it this month. Sure. So yeah, I've been doing this for like 3 years full time now. Graduated uni 3 years ago. Got into the niche site game. SEO stuff, just got obsessed with. I like the fact that there's just like straight stats. It's objective. There's no noise. There's some noise, right? Because there's so many factors, but it's so satisfying knowing I've made XYZ change and then it's gone from 7 to 4 or whatever. Like, it's such an addictive rush when you're like, yes. Like, I think like fundamentally, like everyone wants to go to war, and you can go to war in like a proxy war via content in this game, and it's good fun. So now we run this portfolio. We've got a few people that help full-time, some that help freelance, and hopefully we'll keep growing into the next few years, and I'll be able to retire in a couple of years' time and do other projects that I care more about.
Nice. Yeah, the whole ranking game, as you mentioned, it's like almost like a competitive sport, but not physical.
Yeah, it's like if I'm not going to be a pro footballer, then I may as well do it in the rankings.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess currently, how much are you pulling in revenue-wise per month over your portfolio?
Sure. So for September, I haven't I mean, it'll be published, I'm sure, by the time this goes out, but it's looking within a few $100s of around $44,000.
Damn, that's very nice. And I was actually looking through one of your Twitter posts about, I think it was a Flipper conference you went to. And I think what might be nice is for you to kind of put that into perspective, I guess, of how much people can be or how much people are really making in this space.
Sure. So, I mean, like, you could quadruple, quintuple, whatever you want, whatever what I'm doing right now, and it's still very much in the realms of like small business. Like it's tiny fish sort of stuff, right? Like I spoke to one person who is like the head of SEO at a big corporation. He's doing fine in that, but it's mostly like, the wages like that is just is to getting close with the people that are really like the movers and shakers within like big business. And so he's like, based on the knowledge and keeping on top of the stuff now, on the side my sites make $60K a month, like in addition to that. And even he's like, that's like chicken feed compared to what this stuff is all about. Like it's all well and good being like visible and like, on Twitter and stuff. But at the same time, like it's small business. Like, small business is life-changing money, right? Like, so I'm fine being a small business, but there's really crazy stuff going on. I was like, I only know like it's, the 1% of what it is, but there's some crazy stuff going on behind the scenes with the big conglomerates in this game.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Some of the internet money being thrown around just through display ads and the affiliate model where essentially you're hands off, just kind of publishing content and just letting other companies kind of fulfill all the products.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's your main model, correct, with your sites? Is that mainly affiliate with a bit of display ad?
Yeah, so we actually broke $10,000 in display ad revenue for the first time ever in September. So like, that's all well and good in that. And I think we'll focus more on that going forwards because it's just, people are saying, with the changes in the ability to track stuff and with privacy changing, I think it's 2024, they pushed it back to now, that this is going to affect stuff. I trust people who are clever to come up with the right tech to mostly remedy that. But that's still, to me, less of a risk than the inherent risk in doing affiliate stuff. So I do intend to be more diversified and not be so like in straight on the affiliate stuff. It's also just less competition. Like with affiliate stuff, like we have to update it every 6, 7, 8 months at most to make sure that it's current and relevant. And so it's riskier. And I think we'll focus on ads more, but there's just no other way to do, $1,000 per page unless you're doing or selling your own products or selling other people's with a nice commission.
Yeah, for sure. And I actually wanted to dive a little bit into your affiliate content. So you run multiple sites. Are they all mainly based on affiliate content as their monetization?
Yeah, basically, like I don't really like, I'm not going to get into the clean energy niche because I can't sell you I can sell you a solar panel, I guess, but I mean, like, I'm not going to sell you a nuclear hydroelectric dam in your city, am I? Like, it's purely like display ads, like informational stuff or, whatever else. I don't know anything about it. Big fan of clean energy, but don't know anything about it. So I fundamentally look for products, how can I, and also products that you can tell a story about, and also products where like, I don't really get bored, right? I'm here to, like, making money is never boring. I'm here to make this money, right? Like, so, like, a lot of people feel like, I just want to write about dogs and stuff. And that's all good and good, right? Because, your passion shines through in that. But I can be passionate about anything. I don't get bored in this game. So I'll look for stuff that, like, it's more mundane. It's more, like, whatever. But, like
crochet.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that find that exciting. I think I haven't, like, let's, But yeah, I don't mind the mundane. I'll talk about like bin liners for hours. I don't care. Like if it gets me from A to B, I'll do it. Like, but I'm not in the bin liner niche just in case anyone's curious.
So you mentioned about when you're finding info products to promote, you're looking at something that you can tell a story with. So how are you deciding? I guess how are you deciding that, and then how are you telling that story for that product?
So not really an info product, more like a product that you can buy and use. So. Let's say I always use vacuums as these examples, but it's not really. It's just about like you've got to be able to segment. So what kind of audience people are you selling to, and you have to understand who's there. Like, what's your segments? Like, is it people who are looking for like the best value? Is it people to whom money is no objection, and therefore you should just not worry about talking price? Like, focus on the other stuff that matters to them, which is just like quality, professional, whatever level. understand like for that particular keyword or that particular topic who your audience is, and then take them through that process. Understand what they, because obviously it also depends on how important, how life-changing the product is to what kind of steps you need to take someone through, which is why, you know, there's some stuff you have to request a quote for really industrial things, because it's just crazy to imagine the fact that you could go from, you know, buying you know, these industrial things off the spot. They have to go through a lengthy sales process because it's such an important purchase. So within that though, you know, there's zero activation energy in buying a different kind of table salt, because salt is just salt. It doesn't make a huge difference to your life, but there's more in things that are more significant life changer and where the costs of being wrong are higher. There's like this Kahneman and Tversky's prospect theory that illustrates like loss aversion in buying stuff. And so you need to make sure, I mean, you can also accentuate like the problems of not buying something. It can be more powerful than the positives of buying something as well within that. But you can use all of these different elements to tell stories and take people through stuff. Make sure you tell people who they're not for as well. And then make sure that you can cross compare, because you can have a mini story where you put someone in a scenario and it's all about the visual imagery of it as well. And so, you know, let's talk about vacuums. You can clean your living room. But you don't just go like, oh, you can clean your, like, that's fundamentally why, like, there's always a burning need that people have, this like a specific factor or reason that's beyond the surface level specs. And if you can identify that and put them in the scenario where they solve that problem, it's game over. It's done. You've made the sale. But everyone's different. So you have to make sure that you've tried to hit all of those burning needs across different products, sent people to the right locations, and then told the story with the visual scenario. If they really hate the fact that they've got dust mites in their bedroom, I don't know if that's possible. I don't know really what a dust mite is, but, you know, like, whatever, if that's the particular thing, you've got them. Because if you can vocalize someone's problem, they'll assume you have the answer. And so we'll look for where we can tell those micro stories within that, cross-compare across different things in the same. For example, there might be 3 whole sections in an affiliate article, right? Best, you know, beginner, cheap ones, best mid-range, and best for professional services. So people automatically will self-select themselves into the each third. But then within that, you can cross-compare for the 3 products that are in each one that are for different elements of beginner cheap stuff or different elements of industrial stuff to help funnel people where they want to go. Telling people why this would suit them, why it wouldn't suit them, and basically just try to put them in a scenario where they're solving their issue.
Gotcha. So you mentioned obviously you might have, say, 3 categories of vacuum cleaners within that roundup. Are you still adding more to that to almost appeal to Google to rank you with other pages that have like 10 vacuum cleaners?
So the trend over the last year for us has been condensing. It used to be like, you've got 10 vacuum cleaners, I'm putting at like 13 and I'm going to number 1. And for list posts where there's no affiliate stuff, that's still the case. If it's like, you know, 20 great DIY shed projects, I'm going 40 still, because I'm not selling you anything. It's just a visual, fun, Pinterest, whatever thing. But if it's affiliate stuff where you love everything in a 40 best DIY projects, it's inspirational. There's no action to take rather than the enjoyment of the experience in that post. Yeah. But if it's buying stuff, you need to cut out the noise. You need to take people through the bits that are for them. Anything else that's an also ran used to like be a thing for Google, but even if it still is the case, I'm condensing. Like where these things used to be like best 13, now we'll try and go 7, 6, or even less sometimes.
Nice. Yeah, I've kind of gone down a similar route where I want to go into more detail about the whatever the best product is and kind of lay in essentially everything why it's the best product, you know, what it has, for example, what it has in it or what it does, how it specifically helps the person reading it, how it compares to the other ones on the list, for example. I think that's a big one a lot of people miss, is actually comparing it to whatever else is in there. So it's the best, okay, but you haven't told me why it's better than the one below it or the one below that kind of thing as well. So I think that's kind of where you're coming from there with the story. So then how, I guess, you're creating stories for, say, these 3 things. Is your post relatively long then? Because you almost got to cover kind of almost like the features of the vacuum cleaner, but then also, I guess, elaborate it in a way where it relates to the person instead of just being like, oh, it has this motor and it does this, and people are like, okay, I don't care because I've just read that on Amazon, I read that on another thing. How are you kind of intertwining all of that together?
Sure. So we've got like a 5-step editorial SOP which governs how we'll like edit and make sure that everything like passes our quality standards. And one of the main things is high level insights. Like there's little tidbits that take something from good to great. And so I mean, you either have to have tested the product or have done like the really good research into like. Don't bother typing in product and review on Google, because there are people like scummy SEOs like us that haven't actually tested it. Right? Go on YouTube, go on YouTube, go on the Reddit forums, and really get those high level insights. Even join the discussions on Reddit and ask specific problems that you want to find out. I mean, the best thing to do is actually just know your stuff and test the product still, and then you'll have the images and stuff. But those parts, and I just want to go back to something you said, where you said that you'll compare the top one and why it's better than the second one. That's a really rare thing that I still can't believe so few people are doing. I think it's people think because they just want to write it and be one and done, and they know that these things change, and if they change it, they'll have to change that bit if that product below is then removed, because it won't make sense. But it's important to just take the time and deeply focus on how you're, because the first draft will often not go number one, but the second or the third one a year later may do, and that's when you buy your way into getting the big results. And so you have to, I fully agree with having that cross comparison, because it might be that someone's quite ready to buy, but you haven't given them a reason to pick one over the other, and so they're sort of half in that decision paralysis where they haven't, like, they feel good, but they're both a 7 out of 10. Neither has got to the 8.5 out of 10 they need to trigger the buying action. So it's important to very much tell you why you would go for one over the other and hopefully in multiple specific situations. To go on that tangent, just to bring, what were we talking about before that?
I can't remember now. There was a great spiel there. I was listening, but as you mentioned, like with the comparison, for example, if you have say best vacuum cleaner and best vacuum cleaner for kitchen or whatever, but you're looking to buy it, maybe you're looking to buy it for the kitchen, but you think maybe the best one overall also does that job plus other things, but you don't know in the comparison, so you're kind of still umming and ahhing between both of those.
So, I mean, all I can speak for us when we do that is either like the people that we hire are expert enough to know the specific, like, this is great for beginners because of X, Y, Z, and it will mean that you can do X, Y, Z. But we'll also go on tools like Answer the Public and put the keywords in. And often, if you type in the commercial version of the keyword best or reviews or whatever, it will spit out new segments that sometimes we haven't thought of. So if you put in best vacuum cleaner, sometimes it will put like for newlyweds or something, and I'm going, I didn't think of that. And then there's like, maybe there's a story we can tell here, which did, like, the keyword research doesn't show it, so it's obviously not a big cohort, but there might be something interesting that we can invoke here as well. For, like, there's a lot of way to build segments, and you should know like 90% of them, because if you don't, then like you're not in the niche for the right reason. You're here to make money rather than to add real value. But those sometimes those little bits of extras can really, no one else has got. It can be a really interesting, fresh insight that can sort of generate ideas as well. Like I've been reading a lot of. I'm sure you've seen his 20,000 to 500,000 challenge in a year. I think it's Scott DeLong. I've been reading a lot of his blog, and he talks about how.
I haven't, no.
Oh, he's just blown up on Twitter. He's on Twitter. He's going like 10k followers in a week or something. But he's like, he's done like millions and millions of sales in the past. Like, it's not like he's just new to this. He's done this on like huge levels. I was reading through his blog and how he and it's kind of, I'm going off on a tangent here. We're just reminding him in the way that he talks about how, like, I'm talking about like the content elements that will generate like a segment or a topic. And so I'm very much thinking beyond like just keyword research tools and stuff, and more like how can we viscerally connect with people with what they really want? Because sometimes the key, like, it's mostly in touch, but like there are some misalignments because it's data rather than feelings. And so what he'll do is just ask himself the questions, like based on the topic he really knows about. What does someone want to know about this particular topic, away from all the keyword research? And be like, this is what people want to know, and these are the key elements, and then that can create its own topics. And that was from, I don't know. I think that's just from a blog post of his I was reading, but it's made me think about more like, how do we get like real feelings into this? Like, how do we really engage? Because SEO content is great for getting traffic, but it's not great for engaging. I think a lot of people have very unengaged fan bases that are pretty much faceless traffic. It's why like everyone's converting emails at like 0.5%, and it's like, if it's really engaging, like on our website we'll get like 25%. That's because people have come on from the Twitter and they understand, they're here and they're engaged. But on our niche websites, we'll sometimes struggle to crack 1% because we haven't connected with them on that emotional level that thinks, I really want to be around here for longer. And so if you can really like build the understanding of your audience into these posts, we're clearly not doing that, even though I think that we've got some of the better affiliate marketing content, because we're still not converting people into a community. So how can we build that sort of feeling facts elements into the keyword research in it. So we're trying to put them two together now, which is a big tangent, I know, and it probably doesn't make sense based on what I said before, but like that's just something that came to my head.
No, that's awesome. I mean, it's kind of similar. It's kind of similar how I'm doing some of my info content now. Is instead of going straight to Google to find the headings, kind of think logically what someone would want to know about the topic first, and then kind of answering those, adding those questions in there, and then kind of going to Google and seeing what you missed or if anything else kind of fits as well.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to do it, because I think you can bias yourself by looking at the data in the first place, and then like you've anchored your expectations somewhat. So I think, I mean, I say this, we're not really doing this like specific process right now, but what we'll move towards doing is, what do we think about this particular topic now? Write it all down, and then we'll have a look and see what the Venn diagram for the actual keyword research says, and then at least we've come with a fresh, or we haven't been influenced by the keyword research beforehand, for sure. And we've come with the emotions and sort of engagement, community building stuff that we'd actually find interesting, that people would, you know, connect with, and like this kind of stuff that would do well on social media rather than just on Google, and then bring them together to hopefully make a really powerful article.
Nice. I think we've covered a few of these already, but I wanted to ask you, because I'm assuming just based on what we're talking, that you're not buying all the products to review. So what is then your leverage or your competitive advantage in these niches that you're essentially promoting these products in?
We don't test all of them, but I think we test more than our competitors. And so I think it's mostly like, you know, if the bear's chasing you, you don't have to outrun the bear, you have to outrun the people that you're with. And so we test more than them. Like, there's a way to do it scalably though. If you're entering a whole new silo, and let's say there's 100 pages and 50 of them are affiliate, and let's say, you know, vacuum cleaners, best vacuum cleaners, but then there's also 50 other ones, because there might be best vacuums for kitchens. Let's just assume that all of these are different articles. But because they're one overarching silo, a lot of the products that you pick within one article will also be one of the top picks for other articles. So you can go look up all those keywords, look at what's ranking and those products, and if you put every single, like, you can scrape them, or you can manually do it, or you can pay a VA to do it. You can get all of the H2s and H3s from each one of those top ranking articles, and put them there and see which products co-occur the most, as in which cover the most surface area across all of those 50 different keywords that show unique products. And you might find that if you buy 5% of the products, you can cover 35% of the total surface area across the entire like silo. And then those are the ones you should probably buy. Hopefully, I mean, unless the affiliate marketers are just shilling whatever's got the most percentage, they should be the best products, so you can, like, you know, do stuff. And it might be you can make lots of money from the high percent. But yeah, then you can you know, cover, and a lot of I'm beginning to understand how like relaxed duplicate content stuff is now, having seen stuff like Mike from at Niche Down on Twitter and his brand swapping stuff. But I still wouldn't recommend doing that for affiliate stuff. Info, cool, whatever, but for affiliate where it's actually about converting sales, it's not about just like not having to write the content again. You still want to tweak it for the particular audience that's coming for that long tail keyword, but it's definitely quicker to do that for something you've already written once than to write on a brand new product you don't understand. So it still saves a lot of time, and you can recycle the product images from like your one test onto like 15, 20 best articles or reviews or versus articles. And you can also check the brand. They might have long tail keywords for, you know, the vacuum might have accessories or, you know, anything else that you can then build into a higher bit of content. And then within your best articles, you can internally link to the review. If you want to take people further down the funnel, you can also, if you have like two products that are high rated, for example, you mentioned that you will compare your top one and why it's better than the second one, you might want to write a versus article between those two that you also link people to that has more detailed direct comparison. And then you build up that whole sort of silo with which looks like you're really testing everything, because the ones that you haven't are usually the ones that only turn up at the bottom of one or two articles of the 100, and you've covered like the most surface area for your money.
Yeah. Are you doing individual reviews on, say, products in your roundup that maybe don't have search volume for the individual review, just so you can have them internal link?
I don't think you ever made profit on a product review. I think we're just bad at like ranking we can do best, we can do versus, but we write these product reviews. And I think we've got pretty solid templates, to be honest. Like, I think they're like good, but they just don't get traffic. So we lose on all of them at the moment. Hopefully that changes, but they're mostly, I see them as lost leaders to build up the sort of miniature topical authority within that specific area to pump the numbers on the other ones. And also, like, even if people don't click it, it's a signal of quality and trust and expertise if you even have that internal link in the product review within the best buyer's guide. But here's our individual review. If people don't even click that, they'll go, okay, they must have really tested it because they're tempting me to call their bluff with this internal link. So, like, it still adds value. They're almost like a funnel, right? Like, even if the product reviews don't actually rank, if you see info content at the top of the funnel and your best is like the lower third, there's a right bottom funnel for the actual specific review. If it's a higher activation energy product where you need to really be sure of yourself and the best product review of 200 words doesn't quite cut it, you want to read the 2,000 word product review, then you can just go through, read the whole spec. There's always one nagging issue, right? Is it fast enough? Does it have the big enough water tank for me to clean my whole kitchen? And if you can go through then with that review that's internally linked, then you can, like, even the people who are the most fickle and undecided will hopefully get that thing that makes them go, yes, finally, that's going to solve my problem, and then buy it.
Nice. I think you answered this partially already, but say, for example, you write your best vacuum cleaner article, and you're writing, and in that you've got all your, I guess, long tails: best vacuum cleaner for kitchen, best vacuum cleaner for wood floor, whatever it is, and you rank for a lot of those long tails on the first page with that article. Do you still then go and create the best vacuum cleaner for wood floors and fill that out, even though that main one ranks on the first page?
I'm still thinking about like a cohesive strategy for this, because we've had a situation.
Same. That's what I'm asking you.
I'm hoping you would tell me so I could tell all the other people that work with us. I don't know. I'm still thinking through, because sometimes, right, we've had it so we've done best vacuum, and then for some, I think like best vacuum for, I don't know, Windows or something, like it's got like 50 search volume or whatever. We could probably make $30 a month, so we might as well do it. But like, we're already number 6 for best vacuums, and it looks like they're just showing other best vacuums rather than the long tail anyway. So it's like, is the search intent just going to mean that we don't get this indexed, or is it's Google looking for this but no one's written it? And it's hard to tell until you've written it and seen the like empirical results and the data from that. I'm honestly tempted to just brand swap a bunch of stuff. Literally just don't bother testing, like changing anything. Like if it's just like gonna get 100 search volume, maybe make a sale or 2 a month, and just seeing if I just change the titles and like better search replace some of the elements to say Windows, and then just see if it will rank the same article again. But I honestly don't have I think it's a more nuanced, like case by case basis that I'm sort of wanting, like the risk return. What's your opportunity cost on writing other stuff, or are you just looking to make any more money? Doesn't worry about the time, and then you may as well invest in seeing if you can get another, like, because you're probably not going to get too much extra traffic because you're currently peeling traffic off to your main pillar article because it's ranking like near the bottom of the first page for that longer tail keyword. But all traffic isn't equal, and if you do write that one, you might only get 30 traffic, you might get 100 versus the 70 that you're peeling off in the main one, but each one of those 100 people could be worth 5 times as much because you've taken them to the place that they need to be at. So it really depends on the differences in audiences, I think, on what is likely, like what's the main difference like between the content you've got on that main page and the long tail one. What would it hypothetically contain, and how much better do you think it would convert? And then you should know your value per page for you to know if that makes it a ROI for you to write that. That's my, but I don't know. I haven't figured it out.
I haven't got a straight answer on that one either. So maybe that might take some testing on maybe like a second site or something that's not bringing in all the revenue.
You could parasite it and try it on a new domain in the same niche, see what it's worth, and then if it's worth doing that, then just on your white hat big sites, you'd hit it and then know it's going to make you money.
Yeah, for sure. That's something I'm building out some tier 2 sites in the same niche. So eventually I'll get to that. But I guess I wanted to get your take on affiliate style sites. So Ben Goldberg, who hosts this podcast every now and then, he's a big believer in, or I should say a big non-believer in the idea of having a split of info content to affiliate content. I know Mark and Adam, who own Niche Website Builders, they're in the same boat. They're a big non-believer of info content, affiliate content ratios and stuff. Obviously, you seem to fall in that same boat because you've got sites that are like 95% affiliate content. So do you want to maybe explain where you sit and why you think that some sites get hit and call it, say, a ratio problem, where some sites maybe like yours that don't get hit, even though you've got a lot of affiliate content?
Yes, so I posted a screenshot from the Google Search Console data, I think a week ago, from one of our smaller sites that a colleague in the company runs full time. I don't have too much. I don't write any of the content, and so it's been him writing the lion's share of for the content, and almost every article is best, whatever. And it's like 150 articles. I'd say 140 of them have the word best in the URL. So it's not like we're trying to pretend that these are something they're not. We're very much unashamed of who we are with the commercial intent of these articles, right? We're not trying to hide it from Google. We're not trying to pretend it's an info or whatever. This is all affiliate content. And it's grown in every product review update. It's grown, I think in the last 4 or 5 months, it's like tripled in size. We're ranking really well for some keywords. We ended up making $2,100 in September, but we'll likely make over $3,000 on that site in October. And so it's grown strongly despite certain people's philosophies on what you should have for informational affiliate. And now we are going to write informational stuff because our current, like, we're moving away from that pure SEO stuff and we're trying to build brands and communities. So, like, obviously we need to catch, like, I mentioned with, what does the audience want? How do we inform multi-channel, social media-driven, Reddit, shareable, viral content as well. So we will do that, but not because we're trying to offset an SEO ratio for Google best practices, just because I think that's how we go from being a niche site to a brand and trying to be, this like a more of a, like, if you can't get to 8 figures doing best articles, you can get to high 6, low 7. But as for the ratio, I don't think it's a problem. I don't think it's a ratio problem. I think it's a quality problem, and quality is very inflationary. You might get, what's the average inflation rate? Obviously, right now it's not great, like 3% or something, in a year. But online it's like 25%. And if you're not getting 25% better every year, you're getting worse. And people think, I learned this. I'm like, I've learned more. Yeah, but if everyone's learned quicker and Google's got harsher quicker, you've gone downhill. And so there's like a constant pressure to improve and innovate. And so you could get by with a lower quality level of product reviews, best articles versus articles a while back. And a lot of those sites aren't there anymore. We used to be neck and neck with these 2 sites that I always felt they didn't have good content. I was hoping that there'd be an equalizer one day. And we were neck and neck. On Ahrefs, all of us had 40k organics. This was a couple of years ago. Now we're on, over 150k, and they're on 2k. And they're still publishing content, but they've been hit by the changing standards because it fundamentally wasn't quality based. And you can enjoy, what's the opposite of longevity? A not long time. Sometimes, but it catches up. And so you've got to do things that aren't always the most profitable. And I don't mean by just pumping out informational content, though that might help with display ads. But you need to focus on making sure that this content isn't just good for now, but it's going to age like wine and not age like milk. And I think that's where people get hit, not because of a ratio. I don't think Google hates good quality stuff. I don't think Google hates stuff that sorts people's needs, meets their intent, and gives them what they want. And they can see that because people aren't going back into the searches after they've clicked on your page. Does it help people? Does it add value? Yes. Therefore, I can't see a sensible reason why Google would go against that.
Yeah. Before I jump into the updating content thing, I want to jump into the informational style content before you got into like this display ad model, because obviously you had some informational content on your affiliate sites, but how did you decide what informational content to write, considering that advertising dollars weren't your main focus within it?
Kind of just saw something that was like, it's got traffic. I'll write it. Like,
there's a lot of people are searching this. I'm just going to write it.
Yeah, I haven't been good at SEO, for the majority of my time doing SEO. So a lot of the stuff I do, it doesn't get traffic now, even though it's good content, because it isn't what Google thinks people want if they're searching those keywords. So we've got a lot of stuff that could be repurposed and improved even now. A lot of the informational stuff. Back then it was just that looks like a cool keyword, I'll write it, and we'd write these sort of New York Times style wrap-ups of industries, but people weren't looking for that. They were looking for list posts, so they didn't get any traction. But now, mostly, to be honest, if we're writing informational stuff, it's either because we think this is gonna and at the moment the example that I'll bring up, the article I read on Scott DeLong's site, is he was going to do a site on introverts. And he was thinking, what as an introvert do I want to know? And he came up with this title that was The Introvert's Guide to, and I'm not American, so I don't know exactly if this is like this freshman orientation. I don't know what that means. I think it's like Freshers Week for the UK.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's first year college students, I think.
Okay, so it's a bit younger than Freshers Week is uni, like 18-year-olds.
Wait, college here is uni.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's the same thing though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So but it was
coming from a non-American.
And he was like, okay, that's what I would want to know. How do I get through freshman orientation as an introvert? And if you see that on Facebook and it's, presented properly, that's a really engaging thing because that fills a lot of people's worries and needs and anxieties, that solves them. But that's not, I'm sure there's no keyword research for that. No keyword volume, I mean. So when we do informational content, we're not doing this yet, but what we will base our strategy on now, doing it the right way rather than before. I mean, obviously now we're looking at search intent and feature snippets and what we can take and what we can likely get. But for the future, informational stuff will mostly be like what is going to tap into that visceral need. What can we really add value in? And therefore, what are we going to get rewarded with socials and links and evergreen growth as a brand? From that, what can we then add lead magnets to and build communities around and keep people in our funnel and do more with and try and build this into... display ads is very two-dimensional. And I learned this now because I listened to a Miles Beckler and I'm going to butcher the surname, Matt Giovanisi. I'm sorry if I butchered that one. And I was listening to them and they were talking about how these sites aren't really it's all about the funnels and the emails. I was like, no, what are you talking about? I've got these display ads affiliate sites that get 300 RPM altogether. And now I've realised that I was actually just envious and wrong because that is how you go from being a two-dimensional niche site to a three-dimensional brand funnel thing. And I don't have the skills to really put that in action yet, but I'm trying to learn those skills now. And that really is how and if you can create the content that's really taps into that visceral, emotional, this person has what I want, if you're an introvert at freshman orientation, you can capture that engagement that's 10 times more powerful than just a faceless page view. And so we're trying to build informational content now that builds that, because then the affiliate stuff is fine. It's not, you get your reward is money, not a horde of engaged fans. So how do you marry that with stuff that really is going to be impactful, add value? And then, there's informational stuff that you can just write for search intent, feature snippets. We do that all the time still, but we're trying to split, what is this for? What does this informational piece allow us to do? In the KSO that's illustrated, if we did a piece like that, we want to grow on socials, we want to show positive social news. Ideally, we want to get a bunch of backlinks and features. In other cases, it might be we want to solve someone's top of funnel problem for a vacuum and then eventually send them to a review. So I feel like what we're doing now is in our informational templates and briefs, we're answering, what does this person need? What do they want? This is just information. This isn't affiliate stuff. And then also, what can we sell them? If they have a problem, what solutions can we have? Because if you don't include an affiliate link, you're kind of not meeting someone's needs. Because they've got a problem and the answer is aided by a product, then you're actually being helpful by showing them what will solve their need. So it becomes sort of hybrid display ad affiliate mix at some point. But for informational stuff, we're just thinking how do we it's got to have a purpose now. I spent so long just being so scared of missing out on anything that if any keyword looked good, I'd be we'll add that one. There was no prioritization or making sure that we get the best stuff out first, or really just focusing on the elements that matter to get the best ROI quickest. But now it's much more sort of actively focused on what can we do for this. And if we can't really add value, then it's selfish for us to put that out there when it's all about us getting display ad revenue when we're not putting anything new out there. We're not adding value.
Yeah, no, I think we're in a similar thought boat there with our sites there, because I don't run display ads on my sites, and the only info content I could write another 50 to 100 info articles on my site. But for me, one, it's not bringing people that are going to buy my affiliate products, buy my own digital products or courses or anything like that. And two, if I'm going to write an info piece, I want to be able to internally link to my important pages from that. So if I'm writing something completely random, but still, so I guess a good example would be maybe it's not a good example, but I'll use it anyway. Because if you're writing maybe a golf website and you're trying to sell your, golf program to hit straight drives, and then you're writing stuff on the history of golf, and it's people who come to my site for the history of golf probably don't give a shit about whatever else. That's an average example, but that's kind of get that. And the same thing with how you mentioned the Miles Beckler chat as well with the branding stuff. Yeah, I've kind of based my stuff around that. Like just yesterday, I had a call with a company who does physical products in my niche, and we're going to collaborate. And I'm going to have my own physical products now with them, and they're going to sell my digital products. So it's like that kind of branding. It's through mostly informational content is so different and more impactful than just having best this, best that, because you can't really do that when you only have that.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congratulations on doing that. You're a three-dimensional brand now. You're really doing it in real life and doing the products.
Yeah.
I really want to do that. And so I like hearing it when people have branched out from niche sites to doing like real stuff. Like there's nothing more satisfying than feeling like it's in real life, right? Because, you know, it's great. Sure. You can do stuff remote and it's amazing. You live that sort of, whatever you want to call it, digital nomad or freedom. I got rid of my 9 to 5, all this stuff. And that's fine. But there's also something to having something tangible. And that's just cool. Like it's just cool. Like it's three-dimensional. So yeah, congratulations on that.
No, thanks. It's good to be able to collaborate with other brands to do that, because you help each other out. They bring you sales, you bring them sales. Obviously, affiliate stuff helps because you can promote whatever other company stuff through your affiliate things, but you also have an overarching brand through your info content, because you're helping, as you mentioned, like your freshman orientation for introverts. You're helping whoever that is overcome whatever issue they're having with that article, and that kind of, your brand is now the guy that helps these kind of people. Yeah. And then it kind of grows from there.
Yeah, we completely changed after I read that article by Scott where he talks about like the creating content stuff, and that I was like, actually, our way to approaching why we exist could actually be tweaked like a fair amount here. And so we completely changed the About Us page when we read that, and the mindset with which we come from write content from, you know, literally makes money or write it, to our goal is to help 1 million niche people achieve. I can't tell you the specifics so I give you the niche, but like, you know, that's our, and we're writing it from the original, like we want to be this like, not to gender it, but like the big brother style, big, you know, mentor style figure that helps you, like the insider, the expert insider, like the person who's like, come on, man, I got you sorted. Like we're trying to be that kind of person, like, and so that changes how you actually construct this stuff, because if you're not just focusing on, how do I send you to this 12% affiliate offer? To like, how do I help this person so that then hopefully our reward is money? Which I kind of thought about anyway, but reading that blog post changed that. And so in the last few weeks, we've sort of come and changed that. We finally actually started leading with value.
Nice. Actually, you reminded me of something. I'm just going to, for anyone listening on the podcast, I'm rolling away. If that's what you're hearing. But have you read, because what you just said, have you read this book? Building
No, I have
a Story
not.
Brand. So what you just said is basically, if anyone's watching and listening, this Building a Story Brand book is actually quite good on building a brand. And he talks about how most companies, business sites, whatever, they position themselves as the hero, whereas you need to position yourself as the guide, the customer as the hero. And that's how every single movie storytelling is the same. It's someone who is, you know, needs whatever help. The guide comes along and helps them achieve whatever it is they needed to achieve. And if that guide wasn't there, the risk is they lose whatever it is. And that's kind of what you mentioned there exactly, kind of just brought that into my head, so I had to grab that book.
For sure, that's interesting. I honestly barely read it. I used to be the guy that like my personality was I read 50 books a year, and now I don't even like have time to do any of that, so I just have no personality.
Dude, I feel you. I'm still only halfway through this, and you got this a while ago. I've just been too busy writing and doing everything else on the side, so I fully understand. But I wanted to also jump into the idea of you updating content. So you mentioned you go back and you update your affiliate style content every 6 months or so. How are you updating affiliate content if you're, say, not adding new products?
Sometimes we'll be like, it depends really. Like some niches, stuff comes out every 6 months, and it's you know, Moore's law. If you're in tech, we're not really that much into tech, but you like, you know, if you're in a laptop game, I feel sorry for you because, you know, iPhones come out every year and whatever else. It depends, you know. If you're in chairs, like I'm not sure there's a huge amount of chair innovation, so you're probably all right with that sort of stuff. It depends. Like some of our niches, like it goes quicker than others. So usually, and you can also, we haven't done this, but we mean to. If you, I'm sure you can do this via, I think Lasso does this, but you can also do it by like Tag Manager and check what's being clicked. And you can, you can have tracking links there, but not all software or affiliate programs allow you to do tracking in the same way. So you can measure what's getting clicked, what's generating from what, and if stuff isn't popular, then it not only is it not making you money, but if it's not generating any buzz from that article, then it arguably isn't helping solve people's needs either, so it should go. So you can measure like what actions people are taking on that page to see whether it deserves its place on the list. And then you can measure that versus, the percentage that you get. If it's giving you 50% and everyone else is on 3%, then fine. If it only converts at 1/10 of the rate, it's still at 66% better. But that's for each site owner to decide what's working for them. But you can measure the data to see that. But often we'll move products around. New stuff will come out. Stuff that we've reviewed, we can then add real photos into and try and appear more authoritative. Mostly it comes from just we've got better. We usually have just improved at keyword research every 6 to 8 months. Like we're still learning new stuff all the time. And so like we didn't used to use Answer the Public. We didn't use to use what's another one, like Low Fruits or whatever, to find like really low volume, low competition question keywords. And so there might just be a couple extra things we can add to FAQs and stuff like that. We may have missed the paragraph that now, based on something we've learned in the niche, that we can improve, even just write active voice better than some of the stuff that might not have presented it in a powerful enough way. Or there's little bits that you can spend a couple of hours, often more than a couple of hours, just really making sure that it ages well, because like 3 years ago, it was all about doing the top 43 best products, and it was just a mess, right? But it was long and it ranked. If you don't do anything, you'll still be positioning yourself for that meta, even though that, it should probably be the top 4, and you're telling people in 4 different segments, this is the one for you. Like, in that same call with Miles Beckler and Matt Giovanisi, he goes, our best ones is just like, this is the best one. This is the one. And it's like, that's the ultimate end game of like good quality. I mean, it depends. If there's only one segment, you just need one. But if there's 3 or 4 segments, then you should have 4 still. But it's going to reduce, and it should reduce down to the level where you're meeting everyone's needs. And if you don't continuously update, because it's, my guess was the inflation is like 25% a year. It might even be more than that. If you're not doing that, then your stuff is getting very much less effective every year because of the inflation that's happening with Google's algorithm, people's expectations, the competition. And so it's just constantly, we're chopping it off, making it leaner. There might be bits of fat every now and then. We're just chopping bits off, making sure it's got that, the 6-pack of the content is there. But we have a proper step process. Like often we'll come back to stuff and the titles are shit and the meta description shit and whatever else. So there's we have like a 9-step process. But beyond that, it just takes like being an editor and having a look and if you're still on your own site, you can really go and analyze the paragraphs. Does this help people? Is this product a bit of like an unnecessary product to have? Does this fit like a segment that I know exists? If not, is it just there to make up word counter numbers? If so, it should probably go, and then we should redirect some of those elements that we say it's good for to the other products and funnel people to those instead. That sort of stuff, really.
Nice. Do you still go and update old content that's ranking, so top 3?
Yeah. Like I'm not scared of blowing up an article. Like I don't care. Like I'll still do it. Like if it gets even more, I often go and improve articles that are number 1.
Okay. And would you switch products as well? For example, your best product, if it's still ranking number 1? Yeah. 100%.
Like if I think it makes it a better article, I don't care what Google thinks. Like we've got like a top 6 something that gets like 2K traffic a month at the moment. It's number 1 for everything. Has the feature snippet. I came through and removed half of it and added like some stuff back into it. And it's still number 1. It might have been a terrible mistake, but in my heart of hearts, I know that it's a better article now. So like the algorithm's got to catch up because I know it's better.
Nice. I guess I saw on Twitter you talked about internal linking not too long ago and how you almost entice readers to click on your internal links to keep them on the site. I think I read that correctly. Do you want to maybe dive into how you're doing it instead of just maybe choosing the keywords you want to add as your anchor text?
Sure. So I actually, on the way to the office today, I was listening to Anne Moss's Niche Pursuits episode, and she doesn't really, she's publishing 1,000 times a month and going for lower competition stuff, and so internal linking isn't that important to her, which I found really interesting. It was an opposing sort of view to like everything that I've got responses for. But what I landed on is actually, if you're going after less competition stuff, you don't need to worry and like spend all your time, or it's like overkill to do all that stuff on stuff where there isn't too much competition. But for the stuff we usually go after, it's very much like I want to schema it up. I want to make sure everything's perfect, just to make sure that it's, you know, good. And so and not even that, but like, you know, even the long tail best bits that have AC traffic, I want to be optimizing for those. And one way we do that is making sure that we have like a variety of different keywords based on each different long tail keyword that we want to boost, and make sure that they're coming in there. We're also trying to make it more entity based, so it's more like you know, not just keyword, but like actual, like the topic that it is, and having different semantics surrounded, like, you know, and the internal link is surrounded by relevance, like thematically relevant, like words around it or whatever. I find internal linking to be super important. I still haven't outsourced it really at all. Like, it's this thing that I spend a lot of my manual time still, which probably is not the best. Like, it's probably micromanaging. I should probably figure that out. But I just like that it's still like, I find it to be so important that I can't let it go. Or at least like I feel like there's such a cost to not optimize. Like we might be in the DR50s, but when you're up against DR90s, like I just need to make sure this stuff's perfect, or we just won't have a chance. So I find this stuff super important. But also, when you mentioned making sure it's clickable, what we do is we try and make them as clickable as possible if we're on a low value, i.e. informational post, and we want to send people to a commercial one. So it's going from low to high value. Low to low, also fine, because you're only going to click it if you want it. And so we'll try and put like other things you might be interested in front of you. But I'll avoid going from high to low. Because if your average, if you get $30 RPM, right, everyone's worth 3 cents on your site on an info page. But it might be 300 RPM on affiliate articles, like 30 cents per page view. And so if someone clicks an internal link on your affiliate page and goes to an informational one, you've just burnt 27 cents. And so we'll try and avoid doing anything like that.
Gotcha.
Unless like it's the end of the article in the buying guide, and if they've got to the end of it, then we haven't met their needs, which means they might not have been in the right place of mind to buy the stuff. In which case we'll go, if you want to learn more about this specific factor, read this, and then hopefully that will take them through the buying process, because that actually solves their needs. And there's obviously positive like suggestions in the data if people are clicking on lots of things and taking actions, and we talk about bounce rate and pages per session, whatever. I don't actually know the specifics on how valuable those are considered, but I still want to optimize those. I think they're very important, but we've just no data to back it up. And so we just try and make sure people are on there for as long as possible. Even you can design your site architecture around not necessarily internal links, but just to make sure that people are clicking on your site. Like if you've got 6 ways to fix a broken vacuum cleaner, what we always do is we have a built-in custom reusable block that we use Generate Blocks for. I recommend Generate Blocks if anyone isn't currently using it. It's really good. You can build stuff. It takes a while to learn. Go onto Mike Oliver's YouTube and watch his tutorials. He's the best at it if you want to learn Generate Blocks. Okay. That's a big recommendation to everyone else who's listening. And what we'll do is we'll build a bulleted list underneath the H2, which is how to fix a vacuum cleaner. And then each one will be a HTML jump link to the actual specific fix, so that people, not only, this saves people time, right, because they're going to the bit of the article they want to find. It's kind of like the table of contents, but it looks nicer. Gotcha. But when you put it in front of people, it encourages them to take action and then click on something. And then even clicking something to take action sort of sets that, that's a data response from making that click that is measured. One, therefore, there's positive user on-page signals. 2, we've actually helped someone because we've skipped the 600 words of stuff they're not interested before then and kind of got them to it. And so, especially with the scary non-event that was the helpful content update, I want to make sure that we're trying to just design these to be perfect experiences. And so, beyond internal links, and designing them to be clicked on for pages per session, we want to make sure that we get people to click wherever we can on the page. And there's no problem for affiliate stuff. They see a top picks block right at the top and then click on the product to buy. Even if they've only spent 3 seconds on the page, you've solved their need, and I believe Google very much takes that into account. So I have no problem with people not being on the page as long as they take the correct action. The goal is to get them to take an action, and if that's not going to pump them full of 150 ads by scrolling through 1,000 words, then that's kind of fine.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have an off-page strategy? Are you outreaching for links and things like that, or are you just focused on content?
So, preface, links are super important, and my answer isn't trying to tell anyone that they shouldn't build links. the reason we haven't built links is just because, this is a really good tweet actually that changed the way I looked at stuff. Is I think someone tweeted like backlinks matter, and Mushfiq from the website Flip replied, "People just do content because it's comfortable. You can sit down and know I'm writing these 2,000 words. It's that." And it's 100% true. And I found it comfortable up until very recently when I had to adjust my mindset. It was like, it's easy to avoid the anxiety of doing something new and learning something new and being bad at something and, outreach and getting rejected and whatever at first. So it's easy to just focus on content. And a lot of the time when we would be improving stuff, I did that, I guess, in the hope that it would just have the effect. So I didn't have to go out and do anything else, and I could keep being just in my office on my computer writing stuff rather than having to deal with the big scary world of talking to people. You know what I mean? So it's on me to build that because it's important, and it would have taken ourselves to the next level. So when I give you my answer now, which is we haven't really built any links, it's not because I think it's the right play, but because of an inefficiency in my own strategy. We acquired a site that instantly rocketed us from 40 DR to 55, 56. So we've I don't know. I mean, I think it did help, but we kind of fluked the Ahrefs metrics via that. And, you can buy your way into an extent, not just by buying links or doing guest posts, but by actually acquiring sites with existing links, which we've done inadvertently. We did it for the traffic, but it did help with link building as well. But just this week, we've started putting together a proper outreach strategy. And so my plan now is just to get it good enough to hand it over to someone that we want to hire, because I think I've got good at content and affiliate and psychology, and so for me to take this on would be I want to learn it for myself because I want to become the most accomplished, cohesive, understand all the elements of SEO. But that's a selfish desire, right? That's my own desire for competence rather than being the most effective that's going to pay me the most money. So I want to understand it. I want to try and build a process that can be automatable and then outsource that if possible. But it is definitely important, and I'm not trying to underrate the importance of having big seed site backlinks if you want to do that for Harrow or whatever, or outreach or guest posts or just paying for niche edits. Definitely works. Don't get caught up in it. But I don't have much to add in terms of high level strategy because I have no idea what I'm doing.
No, fair enough. Yeah, I think people can definitely downplay the importance of them. But I've shared a few times, I think, on this podcast how powerful some links can be on certain pages. I think I talked about it in the last podcast if anyone listened anyway. But I actually wanted to come to how you negotiate commission increases and when in the life cycle of being an affiliate for that product you do that.
Sure. People are in a rush in life, and as am I. And the advantage to being an older site is just weird shit happens when you're 3-4 years old. We have a site that makes about the same money as our oldest site, but it's only been around for 18, 19 months. All the Ahrefs metrics look exactly the same. No one is outreaching that site, offering to pay us for sponsorships, send us free stuff. All the Ahrefs metrics look good. Traffic, great, whatever. No one cares about that site. It's on no one's press lists. The site that's been around for a few years longer, without any other changes, everyone's trying to send stuff. Everyone's PR lists. Everyone's trying to pay $4,000 for ads here and there. And so you, for whatever reason, and it's exactly the same for affiliates, though, for that site, we can just instantly, without really having sold anything yet, they know who we are and they'll be like, all right, we'll give you double the rate that's actually on ShareASale or whatever. Whereas for the other side, we have to really show them that we can deliver and be like, look, here's 60k sales. Can we now get up to this level?
Yeah.
Which I realize people want the tips on, but what I just wanted to make clear is that there's something weird to do with longevity and brand, and people beyond looking at the data just like to be associated with brands. So if you can be around for longer, our traffic on our main site is only 20-30% higher than it was a year ago. We've lost and been gradually eroded off a lot of the top spots for a lot of the really high competitive keywords where the DR90s just can write nonsense and rank above us. So we've had to make it up in other areas. But we're still making 3-4 times as much just because every page view has become worth so much more, because once you've been around long enough, you can have brands just line up to give you more money. But the strategy is emphasize long term. Whenever you're asking for more money, talk about, I'm really grateful to have been, a partner of yours and collaborate. Always mention we look forward to working with you long term. Also understand the size of the company you're working with. If the company is a massive, massive, massive company, that works mostly in your favor, because the person who works for you or deals with you, the affiliate manager, might see this as a stepping stone, and he's not necessarily like a wild loyalist to the brand itself. He's an individual within a large system. And so if you can become friendly with the person, he or she will often try and like lobby on your behalf if they feel like, oh, we want to sort them out, or you can kind of like get some leverage by being a nice friend, and they want to kind of like satisfy you to an extent, and they'll lobby like, oh, these guys have done well. I think they've asked for 5 to 10%, but, and then whatever reasons they'll parrot to their boss and hopefully get us like the raise. Another thing is to try and get them on a video call if you can. I know it's a stressful thing for a lot of people to like actually talk to people, but if you can get like buddy, you'll always help with anything that you ask. If some people are going to be difficult, and no matter what you sell and what you deliver, they're just not going to budge, but they're just usually bad business people. And they usually don't last. Usually the people who are really like sticky with the commission rates are the people that aren't in business for as long. The progressive people who are willing to be more adjustment, understand the value that an affiliate brings. The other main thing is that if one person offers you a big rate, that's game over for everyone else. As soon as I get a big rate from one person, I'm going to everyone else saying, out of loyalty and respect to you, I wanted to tell you this even though I'm not supposed to. Your rival has offered us 15%. Now, I don't want to leave you because I really appreciate our long-term collaboration. I really appreciate that you helped us out 5 months ago with, you paid us early when, you pick something that they've helped you with that makes them a collaborator. So I'm telling you this because I just want to make sure that hopefully we can continue to do business. Your rival has offered us 15%. Currently, that's 3 times what you're paying us. I just wanted to bring this to your attention, so hopefully we can arrange a deal. Usually you get bumped straight up, and then you use those 2 to go to the next one and have even more leverage. And then as soon as one person caves, everyone's paying up.
So you're almost just playing everyone off against each other once you eventually get that deal.
Even if it's like, oh, we've got a special month on for Black Friday month, so everyone's going up from 5 to 8%. Cool. I'm not telling them that it's a Black Friday deal. I'm just going to higher. Your competitors offered us 8%. And then you get them to offer it forever. And then you go back to the Black Friday offer people and say, we've now got this forever. We need you to do the same. And little do they know, in thinking that they were helping themselves by upping their rates for a month, they've now locked themselves in full time because I've managed to go to their rivals, get that, and then leverage them back with it.
Very nice. So hopefully people listening can put that into practice. But before we finish, do you have any advice for people who might be getting started or partway through their journey, aren't quite there yet to full-time income, that can help them continue pushing through that grind of not seeing much progress or stagnation?
Just be stubborn. Like if you're, I mean, in some cases it's not, right? What I want to make clear is often, if the factors aren't right, you're better off working overtime than starting an online business. Depending on what do you want. Like some people fantasize about the idea of passive income, but it doesn't actually suit their lifestyle because they have little extra time, and they're their job is high paying enough that you'll never get higher than the earnings per hour, even though you fantasize about living on a beach in Portugal for 3 months a year at your laptop writing content. It doesn't work for a lot of people. Also, what are your goals? If your goal is to make $1,000 a month, perfect. You don't have to do a huge amount, and then you can adjust your. You don't necessarily need to stay up all night 2 days a week doing this stuff because it's counterproductive. But also factor in what your opportunity cost of and how much you like your leisure, because I think people put too much emphasis on having to have a side hustle, and often it's not a journey and not a destination to happiness because it doesn't work. Don't get the Instagram comparison version of online business. But sorry, back to the topic. I just want to say that, like, it's important to know when you shouldn't do this. Like, if you want to be a sicko and make $1 million, cool, but understand the inputs of that required. I'm 25 and I feel tired permanently, but I'm here because it's worth it. I'm more than happy to do that. But it's 100-hour weeks straight up, no holidays. It depends what your matrix for what you want. Do you want to be healthy and have all the time to? What do you prioritize having with your family and friends and stuff, or are you all about the business for the next 3 years and you're willing to sacrifice the elements of that as a result? And then if you are, crush it. What I would say, if you're starting and you want to be persistent, you've published 16 posts and you haven't seen a huge amount of traction on Google Search Console yet, is make sure that everything you're writing is better than the one that you wrote before. How do you do that? Look at what the bits that you've published. What bits are you happy with? If you're not sure about a certain thing, watch a YouTube guide or read a blog post on that particular aspect and have a look at that blog post and see what you would have done differently. You can change it, or you can go to the next one and then try and apply that. Everything's modular and step by step. You don't go from being level 1 to level 10 in a day. I go back on some stuff that I wrote 6 months ago and I'm like, fuck is this? Like, and I've been trash at SEO for like 90% of the time I've been doing SEO. I've finally got like okay. And I'm finally like okay enough that I started a Twitter account a few months ago. But it was a long ride until then, right? Because I just didn't feel like I knew enough to have anything to say. And so just try and be better than the ones before. Try and incrementally improve. Start with informational content because it's the meta is the least complex. Learn feature snippets. Also understand what you're willing to give up in terms of time, what your expectations are up front, and understand based on don't assume that you're going to make $100 per post per month. Assume something like $9 or $10 and then work out what you need, what you want, and how much time you're estimated to take based on that. And be realistic because it's so tempted to not look at the hard facts because it's nice to be feeling like you're on the way to something, even if that on the way is completely unrealistic based on those numbers and how they crunch based on your lifestyle and your costs, your lack of time, your family, whatever else. A lot of people, there's a selection of people online that portray this passive income niche site thing as the be all and end all that everyone should be doing. And I think that's disingenuous because often it's not the right play based on your penchant for entrepreneurialism, time, and the other factors I mentioned as well. So if you're going and you're really committed, big respect, be stubborn, keep doing it. I didn't make a penny for like a year and then it blew up over Christmas one time. And then all of a sudden, 3 months later, I was making $2,500 a month and it was like my dream came true. It's very quick when it happens. When you hit that critical mass, it starts going. Be stubborn, be patient, keep working on improving, but also take stock on whether this is for you. To repeat myself for the millionth time, but no one's telling you not to do stuff when it actually could be the right thing. Is for your own mental health and health, the things that matter to you in life. It would be to quit.
No, that's good advice because people, as you mentioned, people think I'll go into blogging, passive income niche site, but don't see people sitting all day writing content, publishing content, researching other shit. It's full on. It's as what people say, they quit their 9 to 5 to work 5 to 9.
Which is fine if you want a big bag of money after 5 years. That might be the ideal thing for some people, but understand what you want in life, and if doing what is required isn't that, then there's nothing like. I think people have this anti-job or working for someone else as if it's like entrapment, where it's actually quite freeing if you are the type of person that benefits from just be clocking out, getting off the clock, not having to deal with emails. I mean, some jobs are a bit shit with that sort of stuff, but you're off your weekends there with the kids and the family, and that suits some people perfectly. And there's an unfair condescension to people that are just comfortable and content with that. I wish I was content with that sort of thing because it's a blessing to be able to switch off. So entrepreneurialism, I find it hugely satisfying and fun, but you don't have to start a new site.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people follow you, Jamie, if they're looking to learn more from you?
I'm on Twitter, Jamie, JAMIE_IF. Apparently, that's not how you spell it in America, and everyone gets my name wrong, like JAIME. Apparently, it's also like not a man's name in in America, but it's mostly a man's name, so no one gets it right. Jamie. And increasing.com is where we post blogs and stuff like that, income reports if you want to know, how much we've made the month and how we do it. And we have an email newsletter as well if you want some tips and tricks direct.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on and sharing all your expertise today, Jamie, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on. I hope people found it helpful and useful, and then I've done my job.
Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Until the next episode, goodbye.